the community, and there's always opportunities here for you to ask questions, jump in, and participate, which is really the main objective of having this open conversation. So cool. As announced on the call poster, there's a few things that we want to go over. I think we will start with the hackathon, and then progress on governance, and then I'll give the floor to Flametel, who's going to update us in the results of the sticker competition. So we've been having a few delays on the testing of the front end for the governance, which we want to initiate early in October. So we hope that definitely before the next community call, we can definitely by then have our first vote. But as we prepare to start getting there, we already have the forum live, and we definitely encourage you to go and check out there so that you can see the BabelFish improvement proposals that sort of like the core team is prioritizing. So if you go to forum.babelfish.money, in there you can see, as in any forum, sort of like the latest conversations going on. The first one, of course, will have to do with just making sure to share with the community the multi-sigs that we're going to have for BabelFish's Bitcoin treasury. Then there's also a proposal, BIP number 2, that we're thinking about, which is starting the conversation on potentially allocating a percentage of the RBTC that was raised on the token pre-sale, just to leave it and set it aside just in case a terrible event were to happen in the protocols that we interact with, bridges, collateral, etc., to just set aside a percentage somewhere between 10 to 25%. So that's a conversation that we're having there too. And then number 3, we're looking into, of course, the governance staking rewards, and that's a conversation that we're starting as well. Since the BabelFish governance is a fork of Bitocracy, it's going to be very similar system. And so we just want to start the conversation here publicly with everyone. It's a bit different than Discord, right? So the forum is more for like, long form content, more properly thought out. And of course, always with the community feedback, eventually, make a proposal that can then go up into a vote, and then, pull that request on GitHub and make the changes official. So those are the first 3 improvement proposals that we'll start sort of like brainstorming around. And then of course there's many more that are sort of like roadmap, and we will try to sort of like set a direction that way. So you're invited always to participate or to ask questions on how to create your own improvement proposals. Like if there are certain formats that should be cared for, should there be different formats for each type of proposals? These are things that we will learn with you. We've been learning them from different DAOs, such as Sovereign's Bitocracy, but also across DeFi. But we believe that we ourselves will have our own sort of like learning journey on that end. So yeah, that's pretty cool. And then hopefully.
Yeah, sorry, Dark Knight, let me interrupt you. If you want to join our forum, you will have to use invite code. And if you know the answer for the ultimate question of life, universe, and everything, then you know the proper answer to do the proper code to join the forum.
Okay, this is important to clarify, Hyde. So you're saying it's unlike most forums, any user can't just go into forum.babelfish.money and log in to make a proposal?
Any user can log in, but he has to use invite code to be able to join the forum, because we want to separate spammers from the forum bots and so on.
Cool. Can we share this invite link when possible? And
it's not needed to use the invite link. You just go to forum.babelfish.money, and if you try to register to the forum, you will be asked about invite code, and it's 42. Yeah.
Awesome. That's a pretty cool detail. Thank you, Hyde. Awesome. So that's kind of like where we are in governance, and we're really, we cannot wait to have the governance here ready and to enable fish staking in the governance. Again, it's a fork of Bitocracy, so it's going to be very similar, and we cannot wait to get there. So that's on that end. And we have, again, there's a lot of things that are on the R&D, sort of like a private roadmap that we've had with sort of like a dev team that's very sort of like pseudo-anonymous for this point, but we hope to start making all of these changes that we would like the community to vote on. They will go into the forum first, so they will have to do with, upgrading the contract curves to, governance taking rewards, which we just mentioned, to, potentially enabling paying rootstock network fees with the fish token, which will definitely reduce the friction when people are bringing, depositing stablecoin collateral to use XUSD on RSK. And then, the liquidity mining rewards that we will start doing, the savings alpha product that we need to get there. So all of this, we will start having votes around. Moving on from that end, we have a pretty cool hackathon that we are co-sponsoring. So this is something that we're doing together with a company called Covalent. Covalent, you may have heard about them. They basically do, it's similar to like Dune Analytics in a way. They do, data APIs for different blockchains. They provide an API to create your own sort of like data dashboards, from the RSK blockchain and other blockchains. And they will be having a hackathon, which you can find either in our Twitter or directly by going to 1millionwallets.com/RSK. That's 1millionwallets.com/RSK. And this is a hackathon that we're sponsoring along with other projects in RSK ecosystem, including Sovereign, Money on Chain, Tropicus Finance. We're also sort of like allocating the same amount. In the case of BabelFish, we are giving a $2,000 bounty for this hackathon in fish. And what we're requesting, for this amount to earn it, it's basically to create a dashboard for on-chain analytics of stablecoins available on RSK. So, right now it's XUSD and the Money on Chain stablecoins and the breached stablecoins. And we would like to basically, get some cool on-chain data just to compare, XUSD to other stable assets in RSK. And also to potentially, get some cool insights that we don't usually see on stablecoins, which is, for example, most frequent times for transactions, to provide us some additional insights. So we think it's a cool way, to spread awareness about stablecoins in RSK, to build community, and there will also be, of course, sort of like a panel on that hackathon as well, where BabelFish will have the opportunity to speak, and a member of our community will also be in charge of judging sort of like all of the participants in that hackathon. So that's pretty cool. We're really excited about that, and the support that we're getting from the RSK community to push forward BabelFish. On that end, the last stablecoin that was added to BabelFish, and this is the last stablecoin, as I mentioned in a previous call, that will be added that did not require a vote, and that stablecoin is RDoC, which is basically a reef-backed stablecoin, and we're really excited about adding it. It's something that the RSK ecosystem really wanted, so that they can use it to to operate as there's a lot of liquidity with RDoC, but it's not really as used as it will be possible to do now that it's part of the XUSD aggregated liquidity. Yeah, and then I guess for the last point, I would like to give Flametail the floor. It's regarding the sticker competition that we mentioned a few times in our community calls. That's finally come to an end, and we have some exciting news there. So Flametail, take it away.
Yeah, good evening, guys. Thank you, Dark Knight, for the information. I've shared some links in the CC question chat. I shared the forum and the link to the 1 Million Wallets hackathon. So you can find it in the CC question chat for more information and easy access. So yeah, the sticker competition, after 2 months, it finally came to an ending, and I must say that I was very blown away by some of the participants, and I think I'm proud to say that we got a winner, and that was Liesje. Liesje made an amazing sticker, and I will share it with you in the also in the CC questions chat channel. It's the rocket with a the astronaut on a rocket with a BabelFish logo on the side. It's very clean. It looks great. And of course, all the participants were winners, because that's really something we want to encourage. When you participate, you get rewards, and we really hope that in the future, if we do more like these events, that more people will come and help us and see that there are really opportunities in this space, and that we're always looking for talents and people to join us in our endeavors. So yeah, that's really a winner. Liesje, say congratulations to him when you see him. Yeah, in second place we have Jonatas147, and on the third place we have OM. I will share a detailed overview of the winners soon after the community call.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you, Flametail. Cool. And then we should add into this. So there was about 4,000 fish, I think, that were allocated for that sticker competition, and we have like this dolphinarium, sort of like the dolphins, which is the people with a floor on this call right now. We're also, by the way, we're still looking for additional dolphins, which is basically heads of different teams. But we had a conversation earlier this month, post airdrop, and then like management of the fish for rewards, etc. And all of these rewards, basically the first days of each month, we will look into the bounties to make those distributions. And so what we are considering for anybody that participates, whether they be recurring payments or they be one-time bounties, so long as the bounty is not below a certain minimum threshold, then basically these bounties, will start getting paid, the first 10 days, immediate month after the first deliverable was given, and they will vest sort of like over 6 months. So the total amount would vest over 6 months, and we would basically look at these amounts the first 10 days of each month. We think this is the way to do some organization. So yeah, I just wanted to add into that. Then yeah, I think those are the main updates. There's one more thing. There's a spreadsheet going around which we can share again, which is for technical questions. So oftentimes, we really want these conversations to be active and to, provide sunlight into some questions that you may have on the tech side of the ecosystem. So we will also be sharing again that form. So far, we have 13 responses or 13 questions, which are interesting, but we definitely would like to have more questions. And so we will share this form again for you if you have any, burning questions about BabelFish Alpha as it is right now, or or BabelFish upcoming governance, or BabelFish's upcoming proposals to achieve the mission that it desires to seek. All of those questions can be asked in this AMA. So yeah, it would be great to see more questions there, and then for the next community call, we can dedicate some time to answering all of them. There's some questions here, but I think it's best to get at least post 20 questions, and then we can use it on the next community call, especially since we're still relatively early. But yeah, guys, I think it's normal to have some delays, but we're going to be starting Q4 of 2021 with a lot of things on the R&D roadmap, and a lot of now a treasury, so that it will enable us to do the partnerships, onboard more people into the team for recurrent payments, and really get to where we want to be. Right now, we are at about 14 million of XUSD issued, all backed 1-to-1, and we expect this number to grow, not double, but grow by at least maybe some like 8 figures from here to the next community call. So that will be great. And then finish the year with gold. So those are all the updates that we have for now. We can now open up for questions as usual. So please, if you have any questions, for the BabelFish community, this is a place to do it. Every 2 weeks, same time, same place. So please join in, and we'll try to do the best to answer your questions.
Just a reminder: if you want to ask a question, you have to raise your hand. Show down below.
I'd love to hear more about what's going on with the fish potentially being used as gas on rootstock. I did hear the rootstock devs talking about being able to potentially use any token on the network for that purpose in future. But to my knowledge, it's not been implemented in any way. I'm wondering if we'll be among the first, or if that's kind of a general thing that we know is being implemented across the board.
Yeah, so this was a conversation that we had. Actually, it was brought up to our attention last week, and as you mentioned, it's an upgrade on RSK that will enable any token to serve us to pay the gas fees. And yeah, would Fish be the first one? I don't know. I do not know what other projects are doing, but we certainly think that it fits the product that we're building. It makes no sense for BabelFish in particular. Somebody has stablecoins, they don't have any RBTC, and they want to use it in RBTC. It makes sense that it's also part of the original proposal that we were considering for liquidity mining, that it's when people deposit stablecoins, they would also get a certain amount of fish, and it would be ideal if this fish also serves to cover the initial gas fees on chain.
Yeah, cool. And then also I know that some of even the protocol contributors who've received fish have not yet onboarded any RBTC. So there's a few of them who are kind of waiting to do that, or trying to figure out, how to engage with the network more. And I think that would be a great way to just reduce friction for everyone. That's a really exciting development. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah. There's also something cool that was brought up in that conversation while we're in this call, which is the ability of, it's very early, but right now, we're sort of like following on Sovereign's footsteps, and also like the philosophy, about being truly permissionless and no KYC, open to everyone. But there is also right now Coinify, I think it's Coinify, that it's, or CoinFirm, sorry, that it's it works on RSK right now, as well as in Ethereum for a long time. I need to check into which other chains also for our roadmap. But what they enable is that, sure, we continue being sort of permissionless, but they enable an integration which, if the system detects stablecoins coming from blacklisted addresses, we could block that, at least, to not have people that have been blacklisted. All of this are things that are coming into our rootstock, and we will not, any future relevant changes or upgrades to the contract will need to be voted on. I'm particularly looking forward to, once that's proposed in the forum, to see the reaction of the community and where our community stands with sort of like implementing this into the protocol.
Interesting. Yeah, it kind of sounds like a potential way to still be involved in the liquidity, environment of those larger KYC centralized exchanges and otherwise, but then retain our not your keys, not your coins philosophy and utility for everyone and network users, but just as a tool to satisfy the centralized exchanges who might wish to carry inventory of fish and that sort of thing.
Yeah, I really think that everybody that joins community calls, most people, they put it in the background and they hope, to hear most of the updates. Yeah, most people are not asking questions. So yeah, I don't know if there's no additional questions, we can always stop the recording. You can always ask questions on the CC questions chat, and we will stay on this call for another 5 minutes if you are a bit shy to ask a question. But yeah, Nimesh. Nimesh, by the way, I just saw your submission on the BabelFish experimenters.
Yes.
Are
What
you?
other chains you are thinking apart from RSA and Ethereum, BHC, like Solana? There are more other chains like Solana, Polygon.
Yes. So that's a full thing. So we've had, a lot of people in our community have been asking for Terra ecosystem with Anchor. It's actually, giving quite a high yield of around 20%. So there's a bunch of, first we need to look, there's on one end, what's cool also about Terra is that it's kind of like an ecosystem and a stablecoin collateral that we're adding. Because then there's also all of these stablecoins that we're looking into decentralized, but they don't have an ecosystem, like RAI, FEI, Synthetics USD, Frax. So Terra USD or USD, it's really high in our priorities. But at the same time, we see a lot of capital flowing into Avalanche. Avalanche already has like an Avalanche ETH bridge, so potentially we could also use that bridge and mask it with Ethereum. So which ones are we going to? I mean, it's a matter of priority. I think all of these will start being voted on. I'm fairly, it's also a matter of how quickly can we develop it. So, I would say that Terra is high in our priority because our community is demanding it and because it's paying a high yield. Then potentially Avalanche, just because of the bridge solutions that they've made. And then it's all of this will need to be voted on, right? Then when it comes to, should we connect to Solana or to FTM? All of this really takes some time, and it's it may take a bit longer than we expect to do. But yeah, so I don't want to commit to one specific answer about what's going to be prioritized, but I can say that Terra is like high in our priority, and then Avalanche and Solana, but this will all need to be voted on, right?
Thank you.
Thank you for the question. And I will also be reaching out to you, Nimesh, or someone from the Dolphin Assembly will be reaching out to you just to coordinate how we can work more closely with you.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Again, you can always ask a question on the chat. Raise your hand. That makes the call more interesting. We get to learn from you, hear your point of view, hear your worries, hear what you're excited about. I think that's really important. Let's see. Show requests.
I have one more doubt because it is a conversation between me and my friend. We were discussing about the bridge fee because bridge fee is too high. $3 is too high actually for small amounts. Like if I transfer a $10, it costs $3. Just 30% will be just gone away, right?
Yes. So I mean that's sort of like the state of the ecosystem. I'm pretty sure that from the bridge, the only bridge that we're using right now is Sovereign, and I think that as the protocol begins to look into other bridges for different protocols or chains, then it's going to become cheaper. We can also make up for this by giving some fish tokens. I think that the technology and the ecosystem is evolving relatively quick, also with ZK rollups, things like Arbitrum and Optimist. So all of this, I think it's going to, for the coming 12 months, we'll see a lot of optimization, and potentially we could also use fish, as was mentioned earlier, so that, based on how much you're staking. And so all of that, we will be figuring it out, but we hear you. We understand that, fees even to bridge can be, sometimes very high for the amount that you're looking for. This is an ecosystem-wide issue, but I think it's fast evolving though, so that's good.
Or we can do like 10% or $3, which is less, like kind of.
I think that's a very specific question that I cannot provide an answer to now. I think where we can we'll probably need to put like a certain minimum of deposit, a minimum to give you fish, right? And anything under that, and it's not worth it. But all of this, again, we will start figuring it out together as a community. That's why we look forward to rewarding a lot of not only research on stablecoins, but also research on different bridges, right? That's what BabelFish is always looking for, like where are the exciting stablecoins on demand, and where are sort of like opportunities to integrate with certain bridges that are more efficient than the alternatives, right? But we're still very early. Right now, we're only using Sovereign's Bridge. I'm sure that there can be some improvements made there. And as we expand, we will have more options, right? So we will see where the coming 12 months take us. But I cannot give you an exact answer on how it will be solved just yet. Suryansh?
Hi. Hi, Dark Knight. Am I audible?
Yes, you have the floor.
Yeah, thanks. So, like recently, I was going through news, and for past 2-3 weeks, there has been a lot of FUD or the news regarding the US regulatory crackdown, and all over the world's government are basically cracking down on the cryptos, and stablecoin is also on their radar, and many governments are planning to come up with their own CBDCs and all that stuff. So do you guys see this as a potential threat to our project, and if so, then what would be the measures to address it?
Yeah, so thank you for the question, Suryansh. It's a great question, and we've it's been asked in several of our calls. This is a full debate that we can talk about for hours. You have USDT and USDC being it's the duopoly that we have on fiat stablecoins in the market. They're very different. Some people think that maybe USDC is more risky because they're more likely to blacklist addresses, but the fact is that Tether actually has blacklisted more addresses than USDC has. So that's one argument. The other argument is that Tether, they are opaque for a reason, so that they do not need to comply as quickly with regulation as, for example, USDC. Right? How may these regulations affect BabelFish? BabelFish right now, similar to MakerDAO, more than 50% of the collateral it's USDC and USDT. I think USDT makes up about 60% and USDC about 20% today. And there are certain things that we can do. So we really want to, as I mentioned, like Terra USD, I think it's a really cool project. But then you also have projects like Ride, Fei, Synthetics USD, Frax, and On. They operate a bit differently, but they're decentralized. And there are some cool things that we can put up for a vote, where, for example, we have a lot of breached Tether that has been wrapped within XUSD. Potentially, we could come up with a solution that enables us to bridge back that wrapped Tether on RSK over to Ethereum, and then distribute it in some sort of percentage amongst these decentralized stablecoins and start creating liquidity that way. So these are some of the solutions. In terms of timing, in terms of the seriousness of all of these regulations that are happening, we see that I think that governments take their sweet time to move, and it's going to take it's going to take some time to see any real clamp down on stablecoins, in particular like stablecoins that are doing everything right, like USDC. I don't see a reason. I don't see what is BabelFish doing that may, lead a regulator to sort of dictating USDC to blacklist our smart contract. But it's certainly a risk that is out there, and it's part of what we hope to hedge over at BabelFish, which is the whole mission is not only to research stablecoins and bridges, but ideally to give the opportunity to smaller non-centralized stablecoins to participate, precisely because of the risk posed by these two large centralized stablecoins. Yeah, I don't see a reason to worry about that now, but it's definitely a looming threat. And as we move forward as our community and as our collateral increases and our governance becomes more efficient, we will be able to debate and implement the changes that we consider necessary to avoid potential problems. And that's also, I think that's something to look forward to, because it's going to force us to manage our collateral and hedge it as we really intend to do, as we really proposed from the beginning. So I think this is a very good question. And the only way to survive it is really by increasing our collateral. Right now, all of our collateral right now, it's all centralized, right? It's Tether, it's USDC, it's DAI and Binance USD. These are all centralized. And what we need to start doing with the forum and the governance is, how to detect which non-centralized stablecoins are worth it. So it's a great question. I think there's many answers and many solutions, and it's a call to action, right? It's precisely why we need BabelFish to become what it's really meant to be, which is encourage smaller non-centralized players, hedge risk, and get some Bitcoin insurance also with yield. So yeah, that'll be my answer. I think it's sort of like a long-winded answer, but I hope I answered you. Sort of like the whole existence of BabelFish is precisely to prepare for these events. So there's a long way to go. I think we have time.
Yeah. Thanks, Dr.
Thank you, Suryansh.
There's another question. There we go. KBT as well, I think, was first. Let's get him on the stage.
Hi, KBT.
Guys, can you hear me?
Yeah.
I don't have any question, just to give a shout out to the team, the way they handle the airdrop situation. So that was perfect. And just want to wish you all the luck in this world. So best of luck.
Thank you very much, KBT. Credits to our dev team. They took, they were really busy going through it, and credits also to Hyde, who really also helped to check the numbers and cross-reference them and make the nice spreadsheet that we shared with you. Thank you, KBT.
Thank you.
Rob, you're up.
Yeah, hi guys. I've got a question regarding liquidity mining versus staking. As we've seen with the SOV platform, there was an incentive to stake, but the rules were from the beginning not quite clear on how this all would work out and what were the consequences of staking for a long time, because you couldn't reverse that without have been given a certain penalty, and then certain raised with regard to liquidity mining, and people were discussing a lot between short-term incentives and versus long-term incentives. So the staking versus the liquidity mining. What are your general thoughts regarding the balance between those two in order to circumnavigate the problems which arose during the discussions on the SOV platform?
Yeah, I think this is a great question, and we will be collaborating more closely with the team in Sovereign that helped develop the Bitocracy. Again, they were very helpful also from Origins. So coming from Origins and then forking Bitocracy, we share a lot of commonalities there. I hear your issue. I also locked my SOB for like 3 years. And what you're referring to, I believe exactly, it's like, a percentage of the fees earned by the protocol. Not all of them were going to SOV stakers. And then, for example, the fish token sale and, and understanding, even for ourselves, understanding, all of the different staking mechanisms. That's what created the airdrop error in the first place. So BabelFish wants to do liquidity mining to incentivize stablecoin deposits in other chains. That is something that it's going to be ready ideally towards the end of the year. Until we have that, what's important is that we have governance that's working, and that people are incentivized to stake for a long term. Just to show commitment, which is sort of like quadratic voting results. Right now, because of that, we are likely, at the first year, we have about 1.42% of the fish supply per month on liquidity mining. And so it's a good question. It hasn't been completely answered by the team, whether we want to give 1.42% fully just distributed proportionally based on your voting weight, or do we want to roll over a percentage until we initiate liquidity mining for deposits. So in terms of how we're thinking about it at this point, it's like more of a question of is it a lot of are the rewards too high just for governance and not providing liquidity? We're likely to stick with the answer that they may be too high, but since it's the only reward available right now, most likely we will stick with it. And then once we have the savings product ready, then that will need to be changed or upgraded. Again, all of this will need to be voted on, including this thing that we're discussing here. But then ideally, once we initiate the savings product in different chains, that's when we will need to change the percentage allocated to liquidity mining providers versus the governance. And there's a lot of things that we've yet to see. Like we need to understand. We'll need to define: are we buying completely from the yield RBTC, and then are we going to be doing some fish buybacks? Or are we going to, like all of this? So basically, it's many things that need to be discussed first until we can make a full decision. And I think it's a few decisions along the way until it's fully clear how much of the liquidity mining goes to stakers and how much goes to sort of like people using the savings product. So it's gonna take some time to get there. But at the beginning, and this will be seen on the forum, at the beginning it's likely, at least for the remainder of the year, that the full monthly amount allocated for liquidity mining will go just for distributed to SOV stakers proportionally, just like we did the airdrop using the first month of the liquidity mining pool. And so that's kind of like where we are, Robert. Those are all decisions that we will be putting into the forum, and then we will be looking forward to see the community feedback on whether the solution makes sense, or if it's too little or it's too much. So yeah, we'll have to discuss it together.
Yeah, cool. That's general my thought as well. I just wanted to throw it in there just as a. I definitely don't expect a fully completed answer right now, of course, but it's just a general thought. And I think as a community, at least the sense I got from these community calls and conversations, I think it is at this time a little early to have the full conversation, on the table, because there are many factors which are not completely worked out. And I think once the governance is live and people really see some proposals coming forward from the community, then a lot of issues or themes or discussions will be very touchable, like very approachable. And I think more members of the community will come forward with their questions and discussions, and that I really think brings the conversation of where we as a BabelFish community want to thrive and move forward to. I think that will become more clear once all this governance will be online. So that's just a general sense of the discussions I believe is at hand right now.
Yeah, absolutely, Rob. So yeah, I mean, BabelFish right now it's very alpha. We're aggregating the main stablecoins. We're bringing liquidity to RSK, but everything else exactly. That's why we're super excited for the forum to really see where we can take it together and get to where we want to get. That's right.
Yeah, and it's a problem that's, if I'll just say a word on this, that's really common, right, to DeFi. It's just to the whole space is that when a project launches, the need is for liquidity, and then the rewards are going to be greater because there's also risk in the liquidity mining environment. But every DAO-centered project needs to have a really strong governance, and so it's just imperative that the incentive for the governance, not only staking governance, but actually voting, participating in governance as well, are rewarded. So we are thinking really in an innovative way about that. And part of that is some of the ideas that we're prototyping with BabelVerse right now. And I think it would be really cool if we can establish a solid economy, a parallel economy within BabelVerse that would allow us to issue in-game NFT rewards with utility and hopefully some degree of value as well. And liquidity to reward and supplement the benefits and the rewards for our governance participants and stakers. That's my dream, but it's a road to get there.
Yeah, definitely. I think especially short term and in the beginning, liquidity mining is essential to start up the whole governance and the whole project. I mean, in the beginning, liquidity is a very big part of starting the whole project. It shouldn't be too big, in terms of incentives with regard to the complete market cap. But we have to have a discussion on that with the community. But it's still early. And let's see how it works out once we really get started. But for the time being, I think you really do a good job, and I hope we can keep improving ourselves with these discussions. Yeah.
Yeah, right on. Yeah, and as soon as the development budget, in several years, as we get through our tokenomics schedule, it's going to be imperative that conversation continues to evolve, and that as the protocol is, net positive and producing or doing fish buybacks, however the case may be, it will be necessary to have a sustainable way to continue incentivizing governance too. So we're also thinking that way too. So yeah, thanks for your comments. That's awesome conversation, and can't wait to see more of that in the forum and then in the governance.
Yeah. One last thought or question, really, with regard to the staking. I mean, I've been an active voter, at least for the SUV platform, and there was some discussion a while ago regarding the question: okay, should we do the governance on a voluntary basis or an obligatory basis? And I mean, you can say there are two sides to this discussion. When I speak for myself, I mean, I've got a job in real life, which means I cannot participate in all the governance proposals, of course, which are on the table on certain moments of the day or during the week. I mean, with SOV, there's a 24-hour window in order to get your vote out. If it's voluntary, then there's not perhaps a real maximum incentive which you put out there for guys who really stake in order to bring out their vote. On the other hand, if you make it obligatory, then people like me who have a real-time job and are sometimes for such reasons are not able to put out a vote, so that would be a disadvantage. But do you guys have any thoughts about making it obligatory or just leave it at a voluntary basis?
Yeah, so it's also a great question, and it's something that we can learn from what I'm hearing, and based on your previous comments about the long staking on SOVs, that you're saying like the most of the liquidity mining rewards should accrue or should benefit the long-term stakeholders, because otherwise if you don't have the time to vote, why would you even lock up your funds for too long unless there's some economic incentive there? So another thing that BabelFish proposed very early, and this is sort of like a long-term vision, and this is something that, again, it's very early on. It's a concept of futurarchy, where if you vote, if you propose something that then gets implemented, and then after 1 year it achieved its, for example, its goal of increasing deposits, or something, or the opposite, it fails at doing so. The idea is that that could create a futurarchy governance, but it's something that I don't think any DAO has been able to do yet. But that could be another way to provide incentive, not so much to vote, but to propose your own vote and to be rewarded much more if it's successful. But yeah, going back to your main question, I think there is something to look into. I think that I think you're right about if you cannot participate, if voting is not, if it's not sort of like it makes no sense to lock up all of it if it's only to vote, and especially if you don't have the time to vote, then probably you then regret the decision of having staked for so long. So that, I think that's good feedback. It's something to look into, and it's something that we will take into consideration in the forum.
Yeah, there is also this idea to delegate your votes. So if you have trust in someone who's working on the proposals and voting on the governance in the direction that you like, you can always delegate your votes. It's still the idea, but yeah, it's possible on Sovereign at the moment. Yeah.
And I'm not sure if there's a real reason logistically or technically for the 24-hour period, but I mean, I sort of empathize with Rob's position, and I think that having a 7-day period or something could be optimal, but I haven't really thought about all the potential downside of that.
Yeah, of course, we can play along with the parameters. Of course, it doesn't need to be 24 hours, or we can have a discussion about that as well. I don't know, 3 days. I mean, within 3 days, I will always be able to get a vote, vote yes or no or whatever, But 24 hours could be tight in my personal case, but I can't speak for others. But it's just a thought which I wanted to bring out there.
I think it's something we can also discuss on the forum, because we need to find a way which will be good for the whole community, and maybe like extending, or maybe for just the most important decisions to make, we can like make 3 days of voting, and for some minor ones we can make one 24 hours, and that's something to consider and discuss.
Possibly in the BIP we could have a drop down for voting time so that the BIP drafter can choose the duration of the vote period, something like that. But what would be cool?
That's good. That's a good idea, I think.
What would be really neat, Hyde, would be if this hackathon idea was sort of news to me when Dark Knight shared it, and I was really excited about that. And I can imagine in the future holding a sort of specific governance and more specifically a bitocracy or futurarchy oriented hackathon where we really try to hash out some of these ideas with devs on implementing futurarchy and implementing some of these other ideas more immediately.
Yeah, this was more for Covalent, but there's definitely, I think that we can do something with the Gitcoin community later on. It could be something that's proposed by us in the forum and how much we'd like to allocate, and it's just, that's all it would really take for us to do it. But I think we have a lot of great support from Sovereign over on the RSK ecosystem to start this sort of governance over here. If we see other cool things, there's a lot of cool tools for DAO governance and management. They're mostly in Ethereum. Potentially they could be forked, but it's a lot of things to build, which is exciting. But we just need some patience and a lot of research on that. Lightbringer.
Hey guys, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks for the great call, and thanks everyone out there for the great questions. It's been really interesting. Since we've been talking about governance so much, I had a question that's come to my mind. It's something I've been wondering about if anyone else has noticed this, but I've noticed that on Sovereign, like if you look at some of the previous proposals that have been voted on, although there are hundreds or thousands of people voting on the proposals, from what I can tell, there's only about 5 actual addresses that make up about 90% of the vote. So I wondered if this is something anyone has noticed, or maybe these are partially like delegated addresses, and also perhaps what we can do to mitigate that so that the voting isn't so heavily centralized, I guess.
I think it's a combination of the two things that you said. It's from delegated votes, but also I think a lot of SOV that it's being vested. There's for some reason it may be counting there, and that is a similar issue. That is the lack of understanding that we had on this sort of voting weight. It's precisely what created the airdrop issue. So we're still evaluating this. The dev team is mostly looking into this with the team that made the Bitocracy. And yeah, that's a good point. We want to make sure the cool thing about quadratic voting is that it gives you more weight the longer that you lock it for. But we should definitely keep our make sure that once we roll it, there's no outsized influence by a handful of wallets. So yeah, thank you for that. I'll make a note of this and see if I can provide some more insight into this next community call, which is ideally once we'll be ready to do our first votes. So that's clear by then. Thank you for that, Lightbringer. Question.
Yeah, I imagine like NBA brackets or NFL, sports, football brackets or whatever, type of governance UI in the future for mini DAO projects, the sort of thing that kind of underscores, it doesn't dox anyone, but just lets people know in a transparent way, what some of the heavy wallets are associated with. In many cases, they're like treasury wallets and things. So yeah, I think it's important. And then with the governance, I don't know the specifics on Sovereign, but it's something in general that I've been very, very focused on in terms of how to make governance in DeFi something that could even potentially be so functional and trustworthy and trustless that it can exist to solve real world problems. And I think we're a long, long way from that, but that is, the conversation that we're having. So yeah, it's a good one. I appreciate it.
There's a few solutions for there, and there's transparency. I think the compound governance does a good work at showing sort of like voting weight, and there's other solutions out there that don't exist in RSK yet. And there's potential simpler solutions where you can cap, like you can stake as much as you want, and that would give you, it potentially could be capped the amount of voting weight, even though the rewards would continue to be related to how much you stake for so long. But that's a good point, Lightbringer. And so yeah, we'll make sure to shed some light on this, ideally before our first vote. Awesome, guys. See any other raised hands? See questions chat. Itka asks, have you already thought about any marketing strategies to attract attention to XUSD and BabelFish? Yeah, Mitka, so this is a great, also cool question. We were talking about it this week at between the Dolphins, and what we're deciding right now, just to make good use of our treasury. At this point, because we do not have liquidity mining and we do not have the savings product, we think that attracting deposits, it may not spending in advertising or on influencers may not give us the same return today than it could once we start liquidity mining, in particular with a savings product, because then we can advertise, hey, do you know that you can save your stablecoins in whichever chain and be rewarded with fish and RPTC, and that will be much easier to not only to measure, but it will just give us a better return. That if we do it right now, if we start spending in advertising, people start depositing, then that's cool, but it's hard to even track, and we do not think that it's going to give us the same mileage. So We haven't done as heavy marketing yet. We are holding those bullets for when we have poorly defined liquidity mining rewards, in particular once we have savings product liquidity mining rewards. Good question. Awesome, guys. So now it's 6 p.m. UTC. So I think we can turn off the recorder, and we will stay here for another 5 minutes. If you have any questions, feel free to raise your hands. The call's not going to be recorded, or to ask them on the chat. And yeah, thank you for being here. Thank you for showing up.